giving your time. Really appreciate to be here.
My pleasure. Would you like me to jump in now, or?
Yeah, so let me explain how it goes. So the way we'll go about this is we'll ask the companies, there are 14 companies right now in the hub, and every week few of them give a presentation. What we'll do is we'll go through the presentation of, I think 4 of them are today up to do the presentation. Each of them that finishes, it would be fantastic for you to share your thoughts, inputs, questions, and have a conversation with them for a couple of minutes. They're supposed to give pitches for 2 minutes, which is not an easy thing to do. You know, they're practicing to be able to have their pitch only under 2 minutes. And then we have a conversation with you. And then after, which they can ask questions also, and you can ask questions from them. And then after those company presentations done, it's very good to get an overview from you about the sustainability startups. That would be very good if you can give them some idea. They have questions around like the business models for those, for example. And then we'll go to a general QA session. So in general, we want the first part be about 25 minutes, then about 10 minutes of your updates. However, I mean, less than 10 minutes, and then about 10 minutes of QA. That's the whole 45 minutes.
Sounds great. Awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. So we are ready to start the first company. Ajax, who is the first company?
The first company is Golden Ratio.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Aliazi. I'm from Oman. I am a grade 10 student and I am the CEO of Golden Ratio. We have team members from Azerbaijan and Palestine, and our company is mostly interested on designing. So last week we designed this feature. We hope this feature could be added in the future to PolyUp. So here, for example, if you click on invite a friend, you will see a list of your friend, And here, for example, you want to invite your friend so you can build a machine together and can play together also. And here, for example, you have the microphone, you can talk together, you can chit chat also together by here. And we think it is very cool and it's helpful. And this will help players to communicate with each other and to play more with each other also. So we hope this feature will be added in the future. And the next thing is about the carbon removal machine. So scientists has discovered this birdite rock in Oman, and the birdite rock can also be found in other places like Pacific Islands of Papua New Guinea and Caledonia also. So when this birdite rock reacts with carbon dioxide, it converts the gas into a calcite, a soil mineral. This discovery could help reduce the world's carbon dioxide emission drastically and reduce global warming. But obviously we can't spread rocks all around the world. So that's why we think we should study these rocks and then we can make an artificial rocks that works the same way. And then we can use this artificial rocks to build houses with. So here, for example, I will explain more. This is our machine. This is a city that works to help reduce the carbon dioxide emissions and also the carbon emissions. So here, as you can see, solar cells energy. These solar cells does not work the usual way. They absorb the carbon and the sunlight at the same time and convert it into a heat energy, into a light energy also. And here, as you can see, this building. So for example, if this building is relying on those artificial rocks that absorb the carbon dioxide emissions, there's definitely going to be a stored energy of carbon dioxide. So we are going to take advantage of that, and we can take this energy to send it to factories. So we can make a balance on producing and reducing the carbon dioxide. So we need your ideas to help improve our machine. And thank you all so much for listening. If you have any question, please just ask.
Well, great work, you guys. It's really exciting what you've built there. Alizi, how do you say your name? It's Aliazi.
Yes, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, well, you've done a fantastic job. You know, I've heard of Paradite, and you know, I think that there's definitely a great way to be able to convert carbon in the atmosphere into solid materials or concrete, or you know, many other different materials. You know, how do you suppose being able to capture it, the carbon out of the air, to be able to use to build materials like building blocks, I guess, for a home, for example?
We are working on that, on
Yep.
finding out a way how the rock will work, and then we can estimate its absorption rate.
Yep. Well, and so just so I understand how your machine works, so you're taking both carbon out of the atmosphere, and you're using solar power to not only build new buildings, but also to or create materials to build new buildings, and then also solar power to power those factories and the new buildings. Is that am I correct in
Yes.
there? Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Have you guys put battery storage on your on your model yet?
No, not yet, but this will help.
Yeah.
So we might add it.
I would add battery storage. That is a key part in being able to make it so that a building or a factory doesn't actually have to use grid energy. So do you know how solar works in general? Basically, you know, solar doesn't produce energy at exactly the same time that you're using it. It produces most in the middle of the day, but you constantly are using electricity throughout the day and night. And what battery storage does is it's able to capture that excess production that would typically go to the grid. And depending on where you are, you may not be able to get paid for that. So having the battery storage there allows you to capture that excess energy and use it when the sun isn't around. So I would definitely look at adding that battery storage. I think it would make it even a more, I guess, net zero green type complete solution.
So Chad, that's a very, very good suggestion. And the interesting thing is we just recently have released a library with the support of Enphase Solar, which has the all the pieces, including the batteries. So one suggestion I have is the Samurai company. When you gave your presentation, you had some machines which has the battery and the whole thing in a home. Just be ready to, at the end of your presentation, show that, because that's good for Aliazi and other companies to see. And also we want Chad to see how they learn all the balance between the amount of solar, the amount of battery, how much they give back to the grid if needed, all those elements they actually can accurately simulate. So it's good to show that and see. Jogan, can you be ready when it's your turn to show that also at the end of your presentation? Okay.
Okay.
And I guess the last thing. So did you guys create that feature with the chat and everything within you know, a machine model? The chat feature and the voice feature to collaborate?
No, this is not our job. We designed only how this will work, and then they maybe can help us to put this in PolyUp so everyone can play with it.
Great job on that as well. I think that would be great.
Thank you very much.
So Chad, many of the features you see in PolyUp is actually because of ideas and designs that the kids in Hub are doing. It's just fascinating. And Aliazi, the collaboration is one of the ones in the path. So I think it's important that you put those, have a in the flow that Muhammad has put in place, the lead designer. That's one of the paths for collaboration, is probably in about 3 to 6 months from now is going to be done. Actually, we have right now the interest from Ericsson to support that, to add the collaboration. It's very important. It's real-time collaboration, actually, similar to what Aliazi was saying. So that was great job, Aliazi.
Thank you.
Great. So who is the next company, Ajax? Ajax or Stephanie, can you?
Sorry. Up next is Samurais.
Samurais, go ahead, please.
Yes. Is my screen visible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Yes, our team's name is Samurais. Our latest product is using a grass to save the world. First, let me start out with an introduction of our team. We have members from India, Kenya, Oman, and Palestine. And we chose the name Samurais because it's a catchy name. And we want to tell that we have the courage to try new ideas and innovate just like ninjas. You can know more about us on our website using the URL or QR code. Now, let me move on to our product. Right now, the world's biggest problem is carbon emissions from fossil fuels. This graph shows the spike in carbon emissions due to fossil fuels. And our solution is to use a grass that can power your house and reduce carbon dioxide. And that grass is bamboo. But why bamboo? Bamboo is a grass, so it won't die when the stalks are trimmed. Its seeds are cheaper, it adapts to the climate, and it has a higher yield. I'll tell you why this is important in a few minutes. And most importantly, it releases 30% more oxygen than trees. Now let me show you how it works in PolyUp. So a solar drone plants bamboo using a seed dispenser and a water dispenser. When it runs out of seeds, you can land the drone to refill it. Now this drone plants bamboo for a biomass plant to generate electricity. This is the biomass plant. So as I told you before, it's a grass. So if you trim the upper stalks, the plant won't die. So the upper stalks are trimmed and it is sent to the storage facility, from which it is sent to the actual plant. Now in this plant, the bamboo is used to heat the water on top and convert it to steam. And then the steam is converted into electricity using a turbine. And then the water is recycled back to the initial water container to ensure that there's no water wastage. And then finally, it reaches your houses. Now, let me show you the carbon impact of the solution. Right here, I have 1 acre of bamboo, and in 5 years, so you can see 1,000 bamboo is 1 acre. In 5 years, it has reduced 160 tons of bamboo, which is about 20 African elephants. It is the size of 20 African elephants of carbon dioxide, which is quite a lot. Now, let me move on to our business model. So our business model goes like this. First, you find the perfect type of bamboo for that place. So if you are in New York, then you will find what type of bamboo is perfect for that. And for that, you can see here that Cheskuya bamboo will suit its climate. Then you check if there's a coal plant. If there is a coal plant, you convert the coal plant to a biomass plant. Both work the same way, that is by converting water to steam and then steam to electricity. So all the main difference is fuel. So how are we going to do that? We are going to change the combustion system a bit and plant bamboo in the coal collection area. In the coal plant, the coal is collected in an area called the coal yard or coal collection area. So bamboo can be planted there instead, which makes it fertile. And then if there is no coal plant, you can set up a new plant. It can use degraded land. Lastly, if the power plant owners want, they can use the bamboo for other stuff like furniture, paper, etc. So some of the power plant owners can give some bamboo from the power plant for furniture, paper, utilities like chopsticks, etc. And then in return, they get some shares of the profit. Let me give an example of furniture. So in this machine, you can see here that a car collects the bamboo, some of the bamboo, and takes it to a warehouse. And then from the warehouse, it is sent to the manufacturing unit to convert to manufacture furniture, and then it is sent to the store. And then it is sold for people to buy. Now here, the furniture manufacturing is actually, the bamboo is actually sold to other furniture manufacturing companies. And it is also sold to another store. So how are we different? So since bamboo has a higher yield, it will cover less area, but will have more electricity. And no carbon monoxide or any other toxic gases will be generated. And no extra land is needed because we'll be using the coal collection area for that. And then it reduces deforestation for furniture, paper, and all those things. Speaking of furniture, we are actually working on a furniture library and we are designing the parts in Blender, and this is our progress. It will help people make better machines, houses, and many more. Now let me show you a small example of a solar house. So this house, it's a standalone model for demonstrating how the parts work. So here you can see the graph shows the electricity consumption here. Right now it is about to turn morning. When it turns morning, the solar panels will charge the batteries, and then it can be used to charge the appliances. So according to this graph, you can see here the charge of the batteries, it's increasing because it's there. And then you can see where is the electricity coming from. It's coming from the solar panels and it's going to the appliances. Red is for the appliances. And yes, that's it. You can ask any questions if you have any.
I'm so impressed. You've done a fantastic job. I love the idea behind, a majority of your business model. And I agree, bamboo is not used enough. There's so many beneficial qualities of using bamboo for not only building furniture, but also building homes and using it as an alternative to wood. And you're exactly right. It grows quicker than everything else. It captures more CO2. It produces more oxygen, and it regrows within a couple of months or a year to the size when you cut it. And I really love the idea of being able to convert coal factories into potentially biomass factories. I'm actually doing something similar with the natural gas power plant with solar and battery storage in Texas. We're using that intrinsic infrastructure like a substation, the grid interconnection, and it helps to reduce the amount of time that it takes to get power onto the grid because all that infrastructure is there, and you can go ahead and do it much more, convert it much more quickly and get everything set up much more quickly as a result. I guess one of the questions I have is, biomass plants still, produce carbon.
Yes.
So
actually, in the impact machine, actually I had added an engine chip here, which calculates the amount of carbon it produces while burning it by taking the amount of land it's produced, and then it multiplies it by the carbon dioxide produced per hectare, and then it obtains a carbon value. Actually, in our impact machine, the factory is actually producing carbon, but it's offset by the other bamboo plants.
Okay. No, that's great. So it's carbon neutral, or it's even or it's carbon negative. But you're saying that for every acre, how much power does it produce, the biomass plant per?
Actually, we are working on adding an electric meter here, which shows its efficiency compared to coal. We have planned on how we are going to make it. We'll be working on that next week.
Okay, that's, I think, the most important part, because then you can see and you can explain what the efficiency is, as well as what the power output per 1,000 acres of bamboo that you create. And I love the idea of taking unused land near, a coal factory or where you're going to build your biomass factory to put to plant the bamboo, because it really can grow anywhere. And I love the research that you did on what types of bamboo grow the best in certain climates and areas. I guess the other question is, my other thought is, you're essentially going to be a couple of different companies. What I would do is kind of focus, right? You're really going to be a bamboo producer and a power plant operator in your business model. For you guys, I would say that you just are going to be selling the bamboo to people that are going to be able to manufacture that bamboo into whatever material they can, whether it's furniture or whether it's homes, or it doesn't really matter. But you're also going to be doing that only with excess bamboo. I think the bamboo that you're really going to, the best use of the bamboo, you're going to have to determine what that is, whether it's offsetting carbon emissions from trees getting cut down and instead using bamboo for those materials, or are you going to be able to generate enough power and money from it to make it a sustainable business through a biomass plant? So I guess what it comes down to is, what is the best economically what is the best thing to do with the bamboo from an economic standpoint? And I would say that should be your next kind of focus on this. So
okay, we will focus on that as well.
Yeah, no, you've done a great job. I'm really impressed.
Thanks.
So
Also, I had a question related to electricity production. So while getting the sources for all this info, such as the amount of carbon dioxide produced and the electrical efficiency, that time I noticed that in most websites they give it as this plant produces 3.6 megawatts or something like that, but they don't mention whether it is over a year or over a day. So is there a default unit where it's always over a day or over a year?
So there's two different things. So there's power, right? Power is like, I like to think of it like the accelerator on the car. How much are you pushing the accelerator down? That's the power, right? And then energy is your gas tank. It tells you how much do you have left in the tank. So when you talk about megawatts, that's power. And if you talk about megawatt hours, that's energy. Think of energy is a function of power over time. So if you have a 3.6 megawatt plant, it produces 3.6 megawatt hours per hour of energy. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
so each hour it would be able to produce 3.6 megawatt hours instead of, so when you see megawatts, that's a function of how much the peak power production can be. And then what you would do is multiply that by 24 to get a day's worth of, so if it's 3.6, multiply that by 24, and that could be the total output for a day. So, and then, or you just multiply, or you just take the 3.6, you know that that's how much it can produce within an hour, and how much energy it can produce over an hour. And then you multiply that by the number of hours in the year and calculate, you know, there's going to be time where the plant has maintenance. There's going to be time where there's downtime. So, you know, maybe if you could be running it 70% of the time, that's 75% of the time. That's probably pretty good. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Does that?
Yeah. Thanks for the info.
Yeah, no problem. And look at, I guess, yeah, just try to create a function of how many, how much, you know, power you can produce from the amount of acres that you're going to have bamboo on. And then also look at the carbon, which you guys have already built out. But yeah, great work. I hope that helps.
Thanks. We'll work on that.
So Jagan, I have a suggestion. You have the machine that simulates the carbon negative. It's very, very nice. If you can start to add the other piece about the generation and efficiency for electricity, and also the actual cost and revenue gradually to the same machine, you have actually a full simulation of the business model. So this is in a line of chat that Chad was saying. My suggestion is gradually add it to the same machine you're showing, such that eventually get back and give you the cost.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. We'll work on that.
And keep in mind that always the cost always has two pieces. There is a piece which is recurring, like every year unit that you have here, and there's some fixed costs. So you need to always cover those, because there's some fixed costs, for example, to turn a coal plant to a biomass, then there is a running cost, correct? If you just that separation and you can dial the numbers there, that would be extremely impressive in showing the business plan. And you can always refine that based on what you learn.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. We'll work on that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Who is next? Ajax?
Up next, we have Next Generation Innovators.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm Fatma Zahra, CMO of Next Generation Innovators. Please accept our apology as our CEO is not able to connect to the internet. Hopefully next week we will be able to present. Thank you.
No problem. In general, going forward, it's good that the teams always present. If the CEO is not here, other co-founders can do. Is okay right now, Fatma. But for next week, it's good that all the team members can pitch. So let's practice that. It happens in real life many times. CEO is not there, other co-founders do that. It's a very good practice to do. I appreciate that. Thank you. Who is next? Ajax?
Up next is Super Capable Team.
Hello, I'm the Super Capable Team CEO. My name is Ava. I'm from the US and I'm in 7th grade. We have members from the US, Azerbaijan, and Rwanda, and here's our carbon removal idea. So to get carbon out of the air, we will first use a PCP out of zinc ions to extract carbon. And this is just basically a link to a research paper we made. And here is what we're going to be making out of that carbon we get. So polyethylene is a polymer composed of organic units joined by carbamate links. And here's a diagram of how it's made. So the components of polyethylene are di and triisocyanates, polyols, and additives. And instead of an oil-based polyol, we will use a carbon-based one. And this is just a diagram of how polyethylene is made. So these are some links to research papers about this. And here's how we will get energy to make the polyethylene. So making polyethylene is very energy efficient already. So here is an excerpt from this link over here. It says, innovative material design and technology investments has resulted in high quality polyethylene insulation products that reduce energy loss. In a one-year study by Franklin Associates, plastic building and construction materials were saved 467.2 trillion BTUs of energy over alternative construction materials. So for the reduced energy we do need, we will simply use solar panels. And how will we support a business model to continue doing this? So polyethylene is an item used in like clothing, packaging, domestic appliances, and more. So we can easily sell this for money to continue researching, finding better methods, more cost-effective methods, more carbon removal, and generally better things will come out of it. So here's a machine we made using PolyUp about this. We will later make a machine that shows how energy is used and what, like, in tons, how much carbon is reduced over the years. But this is just the basic machines of what will happen. So the red spheres are zinc ions, and they attract the black spheres, which are carbon. And then the carbon is put into a another spot over here, which is where it's created into polyethylene. We don't have any like technology in PolyUp that allows us to show what happens in polyethylene, but this is just a basic like representation of it. And we also have something else for our company, which is our library parts. And here it is. Okay, so here are basic representations of what the library parts would look like. And these library parts are meant to be for in poly avatar, a poly-based avatar. Poly is the basically the mascot of PolyUp, and the avatars or people who are going to be made with these parts are going to look very similar to him. And we have some basic like looks of what this might look like in the future. We're also building this in Blender, and once we're done, we're going to be collaborating with the Golden Ratio to use those parts we built in Blender for this to create avatars that they are going to be making. So thank you, and that's it.
Great work. I really love the idea of, using carbon captured by zinc ions to be able to basically build a material science company. Now, I guess I don't understand how, the zinc ions, capture carbon out of the air. That's, beyond my pay grade. But I really, so if I can understand your business model, you basically want to use renewable energy to develop better ways of creating PCB from captured carbon out of the atmosphere, and then sell that to clothes manufacturers, whoever needs that base raw material for their products, and then reinvest that into more efficient ways to produce it. Is that my understanding correct?
Yeah, pretty much. But actually, we were thinking of making the polyethylene ourselves using a factory, but it might actually be more cost effective to simply give the carbon raw material to the like the clothing manufacturers and packaging manufacturers. Generally, that might be better. So maybe we'll try that instead. That actually could be a good idea.
Well, producing it yourself, like, I mean, they don't, the clothing manufacturers want to produce clothing. They don't want to produce the raw material textiles that you do. See, one thing that I've learned is that every company, you know, sits in the middle of something, and they're really good at that one thing, the successful companies that are out there. So, you know, clothing companies make clothes, they buy the textiles, from, you know, thread, whatever it is that they're making, the leather, whatever it is. So I would focus on, you know, making the process as cost effective as possible, through either, you know, using renewable energy to offset, you know, what we call your variable costs. So the amount of energy that money you'd be spending on energy. And then I love the idea of reinvesting and creating a more efficient process of taking the carbon out of the atmosphere and turning that into, you know, raw materials that you could then go sell to you know, a bunch of different other companies. I guess, how much do you know how much it costs to build one of these both carbon capture and raw material production systems, the machine itself?
We have like somewhat an idea of that, like of how much it would cost, but we don't have like a very good estimate. So we are actually working on that to make a machine in PolyUp that shows exactly how much the cost is, how much our revenue from it is, and then how much like energy cost there is and things like that. That is actually a machine we're still making. It's in progress, but eventually we'll make it. So currently we don't really know that.
So yeah, that is, I would say, the main focus of what you want to do. I'd say everybody here, you know, there's two parts to starting a business. It's one, you know, coming up with an idea that's differentiated, that you know, you either make a product or you create, you know, some kind of recurring business model, and you know, have impact and are able to change the world. The second part is proving that it's cost effective to do it, and economical to go ahead and do it. So I would say that everybody, and not just you know, needs to start thinking about, okay, you've come up with these great ideas. Now it's time to start working out, you know, what the economics of building these things are. And I think that's going to put you all into a really good position for when you guys need to pitch to other investors, for these other entrepreneurship competitions and everything like that. So, but I think you're off to a great start. I love the concept. You know, it sounds like you guys are kind of at the beginning, but that's my suggestion, to focus on those things now.
No, I thank you. So yeah, that'll be our next step to go on from here. That we'll do that as soon as possible. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Fantastic. Thank you. Do we have any other company, or that was the last one, Ajax?
That was the last one, Amir.
Okay, fantastic. So, Chad, what you discussed was really, really helpful. If I can summarize a couple of points that you said to just make sure it become part of what we're doing, is one, the focus on what part of the chain that they describe is the one that the focus of the company is very important. So for all the ones that we just saw, I mean, the bamboo base, the rock, and the zinc, these are the three that we saw today. For all three of them, it's very, very important what Chad said, is that you're looking at the full chain, but identify which part is the focus of the company, and try to find who are the supply chain players that they can do the one before and the one after of what you're doing. And always the best, most successful startups are the ones that use the existing supply chain, which they replace some part, or they connect two different supply chain from input and from the output side, but they suddenly bring a lot of efficiency and also positive impact. I mean, reducing carbon and making good money. So this is very, very critical, Chad, that you provide. I think this is eye-opener for them to think about, be much more clear on what part is their part. And that helps them to look for what are the potential supply chain providers as an input and output of that. Does that make sense?
100%. That's exactly what, what I always had to do when I was first starting companies is figure out what I wanted to be really, really good at, and figure out where I would sit within a supply chain and how I can create a impact within that sector, whether it was, working with different suppliers, finding different customers, and adding value at my stage within that process. And ultimately, for you to add value and create real impact on the earth, is you have to make sure that, investors want to give you money. And so you have to look at it from kind of what we call a triple bottom line, people, planet, and profit. And if you can knock off those three things, you can create a really successful business that can grow and have an impact on the whole world. The other part I would say is that you guys are at a point now is you've come up with these great ideas. Figure out what it is that your business model will focus on, and only go after opportunities that fit within that business model. A lot of companies I see, try to make a round peg fit into a square hole. And, when you do that, and when you have limited resources and you don't have a lot of time or energy or money to be able to stretch yourself like that, just make sure that for your first, pilot, let's call it, pilot project, that it's really fitting perfectly into what you want to, the business model that you want to create, and that you could prove that the business model works to investors.
Fantastic. That's very good. That's extremely helpful. The other thing is you're mentioning about the next step, and there are, in the 3 cases we saw here, there are a few more actually. Didn't get a chance today to present. They know right now what are the that supply chain that they want to get into. Is there any chance that they can get introduced in some of those, maybe or maybe some of the associate or other people that in that area, and they can start maybe reach out and talk to them, maybe we invite them to come here to give a talk with them, something that now they take them to the next level in this journey they're going.
Yeah, I love to be able to help out everyone here. So, what would be helpful is if I can get, some kind of write up on each company, what we call a blurb on each of the companies, a presentation like the ones that you guys sent out. And, I'm happy to make introductions to people individually, and as well as bring other, talented, successful people within the energy space that, could be very helpful to everybody. So I'd love to continue to be supportive of everything that you guys are doing. I'm really excited to see. And it gives me a bit of hope that the next generation is really going to try to solve the problems that the world has going on. It makes me feel good that you guys understand the severity of the problem, the existential problem that we have to face for humanity, which is, we only have one Earth, and right now it's kind of on a crash course. So I appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing, and would love to support everyone here.
Fantastic. Jogan, go ahead with your question.
Yes, can we rely on you as an advisor to ask questions?
please do. And yeah, and I'll put my email into here. So that's my personal email. You know, if you guys have questions, you know, always feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help. And like I said, to be able to support you guys on your journey.
Thanks.
That's fantastic, Chad. We really appreciate it. The kids ask various people come in to get the help and become their advisor. We are very conscious about the time and how busy you guys are. So we'll make sure that when they ask it in a very efficient manner, put the questions and everything together such that you can, at a short time, you can answer them rather than randomly comes. But we really appreciate that. They're proud of having you as an advisor.
You can add me on your advisory list.
Fantastic. No, your companies have advisors, man. It's great. This is fantastic, Chad. Anything else you want to talk about, Chad?
There's, you know, I was just blown away by, you know, the thought and, you know, the talent that all of you guys have. Everyone here is brilliant and so much further along than I was at your age. And so I'm really excited and believe in you guys to be able to help change the world. And, you know, what the last thing I'll end on is that you're going to fail many more times than you're going to succeed. And the difference between successful entrepreneurs and ones who fail completely are the people who are persistent, you know, what we call having grit, being you know, somebody who doesn't give up when, you know, everything seems like they're falling down around you. So even if you hit roadblocks, you know, consider them to be speed bumps rather than a roadblock, you know, and figure out a way to go over it, be creative. If you really love something, you know, and you believe in the ultimate goal of it, then, you know, you'll end up being successful if you just keep trying. So that I'll end it on that.
Fantastic. It was really a joy to have you. It was very inspiring. And Chad, since the kids are submitting their solutions for the Elon Musk carbon removal X Prize at the end of the summer, you not only give them the great inputs on how the startups work, you also directly help them on the area of the sustainability they're working on. So we really appreciate your time. It was fantastic, man.
And I'm happy to do this again, you know, prior to the submission on those.
Oh, that would be very good. We'll take your offer right away. So let's settle this. The submission is sometime in September. So around the end of August, one of the weeks, maybe we come back. Now you know that some of the projects, they're going to have more progress on those. They're going to get your help to get introduced to some of those supply chains to actually have much more solid solutions, and then they give you a pitch. And every time they give you a pitch like it's the first time. That's what they have learned. I mean, now they learn that they don't get sick and tired. Well, I told you did that. That's last time. But they understand that you get a chance to be in an elevator and you have to pitch. So they go to the pitch.
Good.
Okay. Fantastic.
All right, everyone.
That's great. Chad, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. We'll keep touching. We'll keep in touch with you. And, you know, it was up to you to come here, man, but it's not up to you to go out anymore. Thank you.
Well, it was, like I said, it was my pleasure. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing the progress and looking forward to being able to help everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks a lot, man.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. So, guys, now just one thing I want to mention to all of you is make sure you know that the new structure of the hub is up. The startup section has been separated in the startups. The innovation hub, which is at the top, is designed for every student. Everybody comes in, those that are not in startups, those are that not familiar with the startups. So it's very important to keep your communication about a startup in the startup section. And when you want to expose, when you want to promote when you want to show your stuff to the whole community, go to the community space and put your machines. There is a new area called Poly Arcade. There are 3 machines right now there, 4 actually, that these are the machines that not only you can solve, but you can achieve better and better timing. As of end of this week, we're going to add, and if you do right now, that gets added, but we don't have the mechanism, but at the end of the week, you're going to look through the sequence of people that achieved certain time on the machines in Poly Arcade. And if you beat the last one, and every time you beat the last one, the one that beat the last ones are going to get bonus Polycoin. So please play those as much as you can. Make sure do it earlier, make it more optimized such that you get the bonus. And hopefully by end of the week or early next week, the calculation will work and this gets added to your Polycoin. It's becoming the main way to promote your products, carbon removal or anything else that you're working on. The best way to get everybody else in the world engaged and work in what you want to do is to get them to play with your machines. So if you have a machine about anything, if you divide it to pieces and make 1, 2, 3 of those become a game that you have to optimize something and put it there, just the fact that it's a game and it's fun and everybody wants to beat another one and everybody wants to get the bonus amount is going to get some driver for engagement, learning of others about your solution, and a big source of revenue. So this is just starting. We are figuring out the details. In the startup side, we're going to ask from all of you about the mechanism for how much you gain when more and more kids are playing with your machine. The details we're going to discuss this week, what's going to be in place. Play those machines, put a snapshot of your screen on what time you achieved on each, what strategy you solved. Let's discuss that as much as we can. The Poly Arcade is going to be path for you to make your products known. And I want you to know, in about 5 to 10 years, even maybe sooner, there are many analysts are saying all advertisements, all promotions are going to turn to be games. Rather than just showing just statically something, they want to engage you. You are pioneering this right now. You're making the ideas you have to become games such that people can play, learn, and get engaged in your solution. So let's play those and think about how to make new one, discuss that. When you want to discuss it, if it's hard and it's like a startup level, discuss it in the startup section. If it's something that you want everybody to see, discuss it in the community space. Okay, let's make the community space become vibrant and fun. We are adding more to the measures of the success of companies now. This week, if you go to the page, to the dashboard, you're going to see that revenue per products got added. And revenue of products right now is very small because the products are not engaging for others to play. As soon as you turn them to games, other kids want to play, you're going to have much more engagement and revenue from the products also. Okay, somebody has a question. Ava, you have a question?
Yeah. So I just have one question about where would you put something like, for example, if you want to recruit new people to your startup, where would you put like an advertisement for that?
Very good question. So let's think about that, because when you want to advertise about a new product, there are 2 places to put. One, inside the hub, you need to put it in the community space. So Ajax, go ahead, Ajax.
Hello.
Yep. So do you have any idea where should they promote their company? Should they promote it in the product display? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do it in product display. The product display is for displaying your product and your company itself. So introduce your company, talk about what your company is doing, all in product display.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to tell all of you that we know that some of the companies right now, as soon as somebody joins, they go and talk to them, become a friend, bring them to their company. Is completely fine, that's great. But keep in mind that soon we're going to add average revenue per team member. So if you have like 100 kids in your team, but they're not very active, would not look good in the revenue per employee in the company. So you need to start to think about, or you need to make sure the people that come, you lift them up, make them engage. So make sure you have some conversation with them. Is not just adding to your company, but they become active learners, active creators, and eventually active innovators for your products. But even them playing is very important, because they add to the revenue of a company. If they don't do, they become an overhead, because now you have more number of the people in your company, but the total amount divided by number of the people will grow.
I had a question. A new member was added to our team, but I could not find him on Discord. So how could I contact him?
How did it add it to your team if it's not on Discord?
I'm not sure.
Can
In
you
the spreadsheet,
can you just ask on Discord, and Ajax and Stephanie can look at it and help you? I don't know. This is a very
I actually DM'd Stephanie about
okay.
this.
Sure. So Stephanie, can you please answer that? Very good. Anything else? Any general question?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Sure.
So, if there's anyone who you contacted before, but just basically have gone like disappeared and aren't on Discord, you can't contact them anymore, can you like delete them from the startup thing, because they're still there, but I haven't contacted them in months and I can't reach them?
That's a very good point. So what you should keep in mind is, in calculation of your average coin per team members, what's in a spreadsheet is not the main thing. What's in the PolyUp is the main thing. If they are not there and they didn't add the acronym of your company to their display name, they are not part of your company.
Oh, so can I simply just delete them from the spreadsheet? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so you can delete it from a spreadsheet, that's okay. But what I'm saying is, a spreadsheet is not the base of calculation. The display name with the acronym of the team members are the one that, you know, drives the calculation. So they will not be an overhead to you, the one that didn't contact, because they probably didn't add your acronym to the display name anyways. Okay, and then we're going to have a facility soon. We'll let each company know what are the people that add the acronym to the name, such that you know. So we'll put the mechanism together that each of the co-founders know who has put the acronym in their display name, which means they're officially part of your company. That way you can know exactly who they are.
So one last thing. So at this point in time, it's practically being openly advertised that if you add like a thing at the end of your name, it'll automatically add you to a company. And the thing like showing the company members that there's someone on your company who wasn't actually meant to be there, isn't actually there. Shouldn't there be a way to like prevent people from just randomly joining to get more polycoins?
It is definitely, you're right. We will eventually, in next 2-3 months, we'll have a mechanism to add people to companies directly in PolyUp. But since we don't have that right now, the only way is they should add there, and then they should appear in the Discord, and you should communicate with them. So in real time, we cannot check, but every week or two, we'll check and make sure that there is a match. But you're right. I mean, till we have the structure of the startups in PolyUp, things like this doesn't get checked automatically. But we'll add that. It's a very good point. Okay. Anybody else has anything? Okay, so I'll pass it, Mohammed. If you have anything to discuss on the design, let them know, especially let them know where to put the 3D discussion on the product on the product channel, sorry, on part productions, such that all the communication about the 3D goes to one direction and kind of how to update them, that would be great. Mohammed?
Yeah, thank you, Amir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I will stay here to see if anyone has any question. And I want to repeat what Amir just mentioned. If you have any question about Blender or 3D, feel free to mention me directly, and please keep the conversation in the parts production channel and discussions or questions about machines in machines production. Uh, it's okay if you want to DM me, that's fine, but I would rather, I will answer faster if you mention me in those channels so everyone could have a chance to learn from our discussions, because a lot of your questions intersect